I've watched way too many movies in my life, but nothing hits quite like The Princess Bride. On the surface, it looks like a magical fairy tale. But when I started digging into the behind the scenes, I realized the making of this film was pure chaos. So, get ready for insane sword fights, laugh out loud accidents, and secrets you've never heard straight from behind the storybook curtain. Fact 1. Wesley's secret weapon. Cary Elwes looked like the picture-perfect swashbuckling hero on screen, but behind the cameras, things got a little intense. Determined to make his sword fights look as authentic as possible, Cary asked Christopher Guest, who played Count Rugen, to hit him for real during one scene. "Just a light tap," he said, the famous last words. The tap ended up being a bit too much, and Cary was knocked out cold. Literally. Cameras kept rolling, which means that iconic moment when Wesley hits the ground and loses consciousness. That's not acting. That's Cary fainting for real. Waking up in the emergency room still in costume, Cary got stitches on his head. The doctor even joked, "You seem accident-prone." And that was just the beginning. Earlier, Cary had shattered his big toe. Most actors would have taken a break, but not him. He limped through scenes like a true champ, and eagle-eyed fans can actually spot his limp in the fire swamp sequences. Despite all this, Cary's determination never wavered. Every fall, every accident, every limp was a testament to his commitment to making The Princess Bride truly magical. So the next time you see Wesley get knocked out during a duel, remember, it's not just a great acting moment, it's a real-life hero literally taking a hit for his art. And honestly, if that's not impressive, I don't know what is. Fact 2, Inigo's training was the real deal. Look, Mandy Patinkin, who played the swordsman Inigo Montoya, didn't just fake his skills. He went full-on, sweaty, sword-wielding warrior mode. We're talking about no-joke sword training. Mandy trained for nearly 6 months, and Cary Elwes for about 4 months. They practically lived at the fencing studio, drilling moves for up to 8 to 10 hours a day. And the goal was, every swing, thrust, and parry in their legendary duel had to look flawless. And trust me, it shows. Their sword fight was so fast and complicated that director Rob Reiner actually had to slow down the film at times just so viewers could follow the action. And wait, there's more, because there were no stunt doubles. Yes, you heard me right. Every move on screen is Mandy and Cary, blood, sweat, and sore muscles included. Imagine spending more time with swords than with your own family, all for the perfect duel. That's some serious dedication. It wasn't just about looking cool either. Mandy once confessed he became obsessed with becoming the world's greatest sword fighter, even practicing left-handed moves to keep it authentic. The result was that the duel between Inigo and Wesley isn't just a fight scene, it's film history's slickest, most memorable battle. Now never forget all the effort behind that epic line. "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." It took blood, sweat, and countless sword tips to make it look this good. Fact 3. The onset. Love story. Cary Elwes wasn't just charming on screen, he was battling butterflies behind the scenes. During the filming of The Princess Bride, Cary and Robin shared a huge mutual crush. He as the charming boy Wesley, and she as the lovely Buttercup. So every time he had to act annoyed, frustrated, or even just distant toward her, it was kind of impossible. You can see it in the way he delivers As You Wish, packed with genuine affection, a touch of nervousness, and maybe a little flutter in his stomach. The chemistry wasn't a happy accident. Everyone on set noticed it. The cast teased them relentlessly about how sweet and occasionally awkward the little romance was. But could those real-life sparks have made certain scenes even more electric? You bet. You're watching not just acting, but actual crush energy sizzling on screen. It's weirdly charming to think that some of the most iconic romantic moments of all time came straight from behind-the-scenes feelings. From shy glances to perfectly timed smiles, the genuine affection between Cary and Robin made the love story feel effortless, natural, and utterly timeless. And maybe, just maybe, those butterflies helped make one of cinema's most unforgettable romances even more magical. Fact 4. André the Giant was the opposite of a stuntman. Look at André the Giant and tell me you wouldn't trust him to lift a castle, or at least a person or two. On screen, he's Fezzik, the towering gentle giant with a heart of gold. But behind the scenes? Surprise! André's back problems meant he couldn't actually lift anyone. Yep, the strongest man on set had one serious weak spot. Movie magic, baby! Robin Wright was placed on a special cart with hidden wheels running along a track. André just gave it a gentle push or pull, while clever camera angles hid the cart completely, and made the result, Fezzik effortlessly hoisting Buttercup like a true giant hero, when in reality, it was all illusion. Genius, right? Well, of course it is. André's gentle nature made him a joy to work with. Despite his enormous size, he was always joking, protecting the cast, and keeping spirits high. Physical feats aside, he was the heart of the crew, and probably the most lovable giant in movie history. It's kind of hilarious to think that the biggest strongman on screen had a secret weakness, yet we never question it for a second. The magic of cinema makes it all believable. Fact 5. Billy Crystal made the cast. Laugh so hard they got in trouble. When Billy Crystal as Miracle Max was delivering the lines, he was making up most of them on the spot to make it pure comedy gold. Every take was a roller coaster of unexpected jokes, witty one-liners, and moments so hilarious that the cast couldn't stop cracking up. Seriously, it got out of hand. But wait, we're not done. His antics became such a problem that the director actually had to assign a crew member to keep Billy and Cary Elwes apart during certain scenes, just to prevent uncontrollable laughter. Just think about being on set, trying to film a serious fantasy moment while Miracle Max is throwing improvised jokes left and right. It was chaos, in the best way possible. Billy's humor truly injected the whole set with energy and spontaneity. But for the crew, it was a balancing act to capture the magic of his improvisation without letting it derail the entire scene. And somehow, they pulled it off. Some of the film's most memorable and quotable moments weren't even scripted. Miracle Max's zany lines, playful expressions, and perfectly timed antics still make fans laugh decades later. It's a reminder that sometimes the best cinematic magic happens when you throw the script out the window and let pure talent shine. Billy Crystal transformed the set into a comedy playground, and honestly, we're still laughing. Fact 6. The Rodents of Unusual Size were actually just guys in suits. Remember those terrifying Rodents of Unusual Size, or ROUSS, in the fire swamp? You might think they were some spooky special effect creatures, but nope. They were actually stuntmen sweating buckets inside giant hot rat suits, trying not to pass out. Real humans, trapped in furry nightmares, giving everything to make the fire swamp creatures look deadly on screen. Now, here's the mid-story. The suits were so heavy and sweltering that each rodent could only stay in them for a few minutes at a time. That meant the crew had to film super fast, coordinating every shot perfectly before the guys inside either fainted or tapped out. Now, put yourself here, like trying to act terrifying while basically melting in a rat costume. It's harder than it looks. Filming these scenes was a true test of patience and endurance, not just for the stuntmen, but for the entire crew. The actors had to react convincingly, cameras had to catch the perfect angles, and everyone had to pretend the rodents were terrifying monsters, rather than sweaty humans doing their best. And when the cameras weren't rolling, the rats looked hilariously goofy, waddling around like exhausted cosplayers. It took a brave, sweaty group of stuntmen to bring the fire swamp to life. And that mix of bravery, sweat, and a little bit of chaos is what makes these ROUSS both terrifying and unforgettable. Fact 7. The director wasn't sure about the opening scene. Okay, now tell me, have you ever thought of a director second-guessing one of the most iconic openings in movie history? That was Rob Reiner when he considered cutting the grandfather and grandson frame story that begins The Princess Bride. He worried that modern audiences might find a grandfather reading to his grandson too slow, too quaint, or even boring. I know you can't picture the movie without that cozy, intimate start that sets the entire fairy tale vibe. It's hard to imagine. Thankfully, author William Goldman stepped in. He convinced Reiner to keep the scene, explaining that it was essential to the story's charm and tone. It wasn't just a quaint setup, it was the glue holding together all the romance, adventure, and absurdity that followed. That simple reading scene does more than charm, it frames every dramatic, funny, and romantic moment that comes after. Without it, the timing, the humor, and the heartfelt lines might have landed completely differently. The magic of Wesley, Buttercup, and the Fire Swamp adventures depends on that tiny room moment where the story feels personal. Never forget William Goldman's insistence saved one of the most beloved openings in film history. A small scene, a big impact, and a gentle reminder that sometimes the simplest ideas are the ones that make movies truly unforgettable. Fact 8. Robin Wright was almost not cast. It's hard to imagine anyone else as Buttercup, but Robin Wright almost didn't get the role. The casting process was fierce, with big names like Uma Thurman, Meg Ryan, Courtney Cox, and even Whoopi Goldberg vying for the part. It was a tough competition, and Robin, shy as she was, nearly missed her shot. In fact, director Rob Reiner was so struck by just her headshot that he flew her to New York for a closer look. He had a gut feeling she was something special. And then comes the magic moment. Robin's agent convinced her to audition, and when director Rob Reiner saw her, it was like the room lit up. There's a famous story about Robin showing up at William Goldman's house wearing a simple white summer dress. Backlit by the sun, she practically glowed, and Goldman reportedly said, "That's exactly who I wrote." Just like that, she became Buttercup, graceful, strong, and utterly captivating. Her casting defined Buttercup because she was real, relatable, and fierce enough to make audiences root for her from start to finish. Robin's presence elevated every scene she was in, giving the character a depth and charm that no other actress could have matched. And while she looked effortless on screen, Robin faced some tough physical challenges during filming, from sword scenes to daring stunts, proving that being a princess in this movie wasn't just about looking pretty, it was about strength, dedication, and heart. Fact 9. The final duel was all a blur. The epic sword duel between Mandy Patinkin and Cary Elwes was a full-blown physical and mental marathon, not just a flashy fight. The set was tiny, just a small studio setup with a single rock in the middle, and the camera had to be perfectly positioned to make it look like a vast cinematic battlefield. Mandy and Cary spent weeks training with world-class fencing coaches, perfecting moves that combined speed, precision, and choreography. Their fight was originally scripted to last only a minute, but director Rob Reiner loved it so much that he kept extending it, turning it into a 3-minute spectacle packed with flawless, jaw-dropping action. But stretching it this long came with a price. Just how brutal was it on the actors? The duel was so demanding that after filming, both actors were completely exhausted and kept reshooting to extend the duel. Every swing, thrust, and parry required more endurance than a typical action scene, basically a full-on workout disguised as a swashbuckling masterpiece. And despite the tiny set and intense choreography, the final duel looks massive, epic, and cinematic. The magic was crafted through relentless training, sweat, and pure dedication. It was the culmination of weeks of intense preparation, exhaustion, and movie magic, making this duel one of the most iconic sword fights in film history. Fact 10. William Goldman's True Miracle. Finally, the story behind The Princess Bride is almost as magical as the movie itself, and it took a true miracle to get it made. William Goldman, the brilliant writer, spent over 15 years trying to bring this beloved tale to the screen. Studios didn't understand its unique mix of romance, adventure, and humor, and countless times the project got stuck in development hell, trapped in endless planning that never led anywhere. Goldman refused to sell the rights to just anyone. He wanted a director who truly understood the heart, the humor, and the quirks that made his story special. That's when Rob Reiner came along. He loved the book, promised to do it justice and teamed up with Goldman and Norman Lear to craft a screenplay that captured all the charm, wit, and adventure fans know and love today. The miracle wasn't just that the movie got made, it was the stubbornness, the belief, and the shared passion between Goldman and Reiner that turned a project stuck for over a decade into one of the most beloved fairy tales ever filmed. Without that unwavering commitment, we might never have had Wesley, Inigo, Buttercup, or Fezzik. Thanks to that, The Princess Bride went from a seemingly impossible dream to a timeless classic we all still adore, proof that sometimes miracles really do happen. So, what do you think? Which wild moment was the most inconceivable? The epic sword mishap? The stuntmen sweating in giant rat suits? Or Billy Crystal sending everyone into fits of laughter? Did we miss your favorite Princess Bride disaster? Drop all your shock and snark in the comments. Oh, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, or prepare to die of FOMO.